We'll start with invocation prayer. Sahana Bhavatu.
Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 12, Bhakti Yoga. We'll chant verses 5 to 10.
क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः अथ चित्तं समाधातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततः मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि.
So last week we studied verse number 3 and 4 of chapter 12. That's the chapter we are currently studying. So just to recap the main message in these two verses 3 and 4. So here Krishna is talking about formless worship. People who are advanced spiritually, who do not need any idol or a form. So how can they think of God? So he gives certain pointers. I think there are 7 pointers. They are called as indicative definitions of what is the concept of God. Now, God or supreme reality cannot be captured by words. So all these indicative definitions put together, we get some kind of direction what that supreme reality could be. But it cannot be comprehended intellectually. So first such indicative definition is, it is aksharam, it is imperishable. The world which is made up of objects and beings, it perishes. But the substratum on which this entire world is projected, that remains. Like ocean remains, waves, they come and go. So that comparison is easy to understand, this concept. Then it is indefinable, anirdeshya. You cannot capture it by any definition. It is unmanifest. The terrestrial world is manifest. It is made up of objects, beings, emotions, and thoughts. So each of these you can contact with body, mind, intellect. You can perceive the objects, you can feel emotions, and you can comprehend your thoughts. So therefore we say terrestrial world is manifest. But supreme reality cannot be captured by perception, feeling, and thought. So therefore it is unmanifest. Like electricity is unmanifest. Right now we are enjoying electricity. Without electricity, this class is not possible. I can't talk to you, you cannot listen to me. So it's very much there, the electricity, but where is it? It is unmanifest. Then God is omnipresent, it is all pervading. It is unthinkable, achintyam. You cannot comprehend it intellectually. You cannot come with a definition of God. God is E is equal to mc square. It's not possible. It is achalam, immovable. Why it is immovable? Because it is all pervading. Anything which is all pervading cannot have a movement. And it is dhruvam, eternal. It existed in the past, it is existing now, and it will continue to exist in the future. So none of the three states of consciousness and their respective experiences, they stand the test of eternity. So right now we are experiencing a waking world. For you and me, it is different, but it's not going to last forever. So when you hit the bed in the night, when you dream, what happens to the waking state is gone. So therefore, it does not stand the test of reality, waking state. Similarly, the dream state, while you are dreaming, it is real, isn't it? But once you become a deep sleeper, what happens to the dream state of experience? Is gone. So therefore, it does not stand the test of reality. Similarly, deep sleep state. So therefore, the only eternal principle is God or supreme reality. So these were the indicative definitions of God in verse 3 and 4. So I'm just recapturing. So let's go on to verse number 5.
क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिरवाप्यते.
Translation. Greater is their difficulty whose minds are set on the unmanifest. For the goal, the unmanifest, is hard for the embodied to reach. So, one word, if you want to note in this verse, is embodied. Deha vabdihi. I'm going to explain what it means. So, there are 3 or 4 main points in this verse. So, again, Krishna is discouraging Arjuna from formless worship, which is nothing but contemplation and eventually leading to meditation. Now, why he seems to be discouraging Arjuna to get into formless worship, meaning deeper study of Vedanta, contemplation? Because he is a man of action, he's a man of desires. He has a lot of desires. So no way he can sit down and study and contemplate. He is beyond his capacity because of his desires at this stage of his life. It's a perfect assessment of a student by a guru. This is what we learn. Who is a good doctor? You and I can go online and buy medicine, whatever our medicines are available. But do we know what is our requirement? So, why do we need a doctor who is a good doctor? So, who understands your need? And he gives medicine as per your requirement. So, similarly, a true guru, he understands the requirement of a seeker. So, Krishna, he understands Arjuna perfectly. What is his requirement? So he needs form. He's a man of action. He's not designed for study, contemplation, and meditation. Not at this stage. So therefore, again, it is Arjuna specific advice, or people who have a lot of desires. When we say Arjuna specific, I think desire-ridden people. And then he says it is difficult for people embodied. Deha vabdihi. It is not easy for embodied people. I'm going to explain what it means. To think of formless reality. They can't get into deeper study of the scriptures, contemplation, and meditation. At this moment, they are not ready for that. So, why he is saying that is difficult for embodied? Who is this embodied? Who are these people? A person who is extroverted, a person who is indulgent, a person who is sensual, a materialistic person who is involved and totally caught up in life, in the affairs of the world. And his or her primary focus is on sense gratification, acquisition, and enjoyment. See, I repeat, to study, to contemplate, and eventually to meditate, what frame of mind you need. If you understand that, is very easy. It's not somebody may say, no, I can contemplate. Yes, you can, but when? Who can? Who is competent? Who is qualified for deeper, I repeat, deeper study, contemplation, eventually meditation? What is it which you need to do that? Everybody cannot do that.
Clear mind. Clear mind.
Mind may be clear, but is that alone enough? I mean, part of the answer is correct.
Without any agitations.
A calm mind and individual who has offloaded all the desires.
Excellent. I mean, all the answers are correct. So you need a calm mind. And again, this is not in black and white. That one fine day you will have a calm mind and then you will get into deeper study, contemplation. To the extent your mind is calm, to that extent you will be able to study, you will be able to contemplate. So it's not that you cannot study at all. Somebody may say, thank you for telling me, I will join this class once my mind is calm. Mind will never be calm the way we want it to be. So it's not to be taken as like, this is black, this is white. So formless worship means deeper study and contemplation is difficult for people who are desire-ridden. We call such people extroverted people. So their main focus in life is to enjoy life. That does not mean you should not enjoy life, but you can't live life just to have fun. So the main focus is on sense gratification. All the time they want to have good time, acquire, enjoy. So they are feeding their desires throughout their life. So therefore, mind becomes agitated. And calm mind is a prerequisite for study, reflection, contemplation, and eventually meditation. So he's addressing such people. See, the entire spiritual path is nothing but discipline. That's the main point. That's the prerequisite. If your mind and intellect is not under control, there is no way you can follow spiritual path, because you will be constantly full of mental agitations. And an ignorant person, throughout his life, he is feeding desires at body, mind, intellect level. That's what he or she is doing. I'm talking about ignorant person. They let loose their desires at all levels of their personality. It's a simple concept to understand. As opposed to a disciplined life. A disciplined person, to begin with, he or she has a goal. Let's talk about spiritual goal. Your spiritual goal could be absolute, your spiritual goal could be relative. And then you manage, you supervise your desires at physical, emotional, and intellectual level. But if you don't have such goal, that I want to improve myself, I want to reach the ultimate state, could be relative goal, could be absolute goal, then what else such a person will do? So that is ignorant people. Most of the people in the world, they are ignorant. So they let loose their desires at all levels of their personality. So therefore, if you want to start your spiritual journey, what you need is a disciplined life, relatively disciplined life to begin with. And what is that disciplined life? You can't let loose. I'm repeating myself. So whatever your body demands, you do that. Whatever your mind demands, you engage into that. Whatever your intellect demands, you boom, you go. So it has to be desires, they have to be supervised by your intellect. And for that, you need to get a taste of that life. What is that lifestyle to begin with? Otherwise, how will you know? See, every other person around you, I'm not saying they are right, we are wrong. That's not intention here. It's a different lifestyle. So every other person around you, it could be your family members, your colleagues, your friends, your relatives, or whoever you contact with. See, their primary focus in life is to acquire, enjoy, acquire, enjoy. They just live life for that. So how would you know what is a disciplined lifestyle? See, that's the purpose of, that's the reason Swamiji started Vedanta Academy in India. And personally, I stayed there for 7 years. So there you are exposed to a lifestyle which is not catering to body, mind, and intellect. Or it is catering to body, mind, intellect for your spiritual evolution. So, but you don't have to worry, I can see few disappointed faces. When will I join? When will I spend 6-7 years? You don't have to worry about that. You have to understand the principle, what I am saying, the spirit of what I am saying. And you are welcome. Like twice a year, we organize visits there. Many of you been there to Vedanta Academy. Even here, we organize a couple of retreats. We soft pedal on it. We don't talk too much about it because sometimes people they misunderstand. Oh, he's like trying to raise funds to retreat. Nothing. Yes. Some people know. At least in Michigan, it's a loss-making enterprise. Who's saying that? Gujarati is saying that. They're very money-minded, So he's saying that, I mean, definitely she must be making a loss. But opportunity is available. But what you need to understand is the spirit of what I am saying, that you have to be disciplined. And that's the symbolism, in fact, behind that chariot in Mahabharata. Can we see that? You have to know it. I mean, all Indians, they know it. I mean, I don't have to explain, but non-Indians, they may not understand what I am saying. Like, most of the Indian homes, they have this chariot from Mahabharata. So Krishna is the charioteer, the guy in blue. He was not actually blue in color, it's all symbolic. And rider is Arjuna, and nothing but you and me. Then there are horses, then there is a chariot. In fact, this is how Bhagavad Gita starts. When Arjuna tells Krishna, take the chariot between the two armies, Senayo Rudayo Madde. And then the message of Bhagavad Gita is delivered. So it is all symbolic. So horses, they represent our senses. We all have 5 senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. So horses, they represent the senses. The reins stands for the mind. Charioteer stands for the intellect which is strong. It has become strong because of the knowledge of higher values. And Arjuna is the rider. Now, if charioteer falls asleep, don't show the symbolism yet. Let's try to understand it mathematically. If the charioteer falls asleep, what will happen? No, straight away you won't crash. I mean, you can crash provided you're really, step by step. Let's analyze it step by step. If the charioteer falls asleep, on the steering wheel, you fall asleep. That's the equivalent example. Charioteer is controlling the horses with the reins, isn't it? So if the charioteer falls asleep, what will happen? You're almost giving the answer. Should not see my hand.
Straight.
The horse gets loose.
The reins. Only one person is answering. Radha. The reins become loose. Once the reins become loose, what happens?
The horses will go.
Horses will go anywhere, correct? And the chariot and the rider will crash. So now come to the symbolism. Can you show that, Vijay? The next slide. So when your intellect is alert, your senses and your mind is perfectly under the control of your intellect in any situation. It could be at home, it could be at work, it could be even in a very challenging situation, right? Your senses, your emotions of your mind are perfectly under control because the intellect is powerful, the intellect is strong. But if your intellect is weak, or to the extent it is weak, you will lose control on your mind and on your senses. And when it is pronounced, your personality will crash. You may become an indulgent person and get into trouble. Your mind may feel for anything. It can ask for any desire. There is no direction, there is no dimension. And intellect has to be powerful to control mind and intellect. So only when your intellect is relatively powerful, you'll be able to live a disciplined life. Otherwise, it is not possible. So therefore, your spiritual journey starts when?
When intellect is sharp.
Yes, when your intellect is sharp, correct. What is other way of explaining? Relatively speaking, I am saying. Nobody has absolutely...
When the intellect is in control.
When the intellect is under control, correct. All these are correct answers. What else?
When you live a disciplined life.
Excellent. Only when, relatively speaking, you are a disciplined person, meaning your mind and your senses are under control, your spiritual journey starts. See, that's the reason the person may be sincere, but still he cannot take to the spiritual path. Why he or she cannot take to the spiritual path? Because your mind is not under the control. Now, mind could either be disturbed due to whatever reasons, or it could be super excited, again, due to whatever reasons. So, and of course, the senses are going all over the place. So, therefore, when your senses and your mind are controlled by the intellect, relatively speaking, you qualify to receive the spiritual knowledge, not otherwise. So therefore, it's not everybody's cup of tea. That does not mean you will not qualify. It should not be taken that way. So how do you discipline? You discipline yourself. You have to withdraw into a conducive environment. So therefore, I gave this example like twice a year. we invite all the class members, class students from different parts of the world to come and taste what that lifestyle is. It's a place meant for the youngsters, age group 18 to 25, 28. But Swamiji opens it for anybody, even the adults. So once you get a taste of that lifestyle, then slowly but surely your spiritual journey will start. So that's the symbolism behind the horses and the chariot. And then he goes on describing, I'm not getting into the details, especially when it comes to Krishna. The horses were white. I mean, perfectly, a person who has got perfect control on the senses. So that's what it means. So Krishna is a charioteer, meaning a person who has got a powerful intellect. So one main point in this verse is disciplined life is a prerequisite to receive spiritual knowledge. Let's move on. Verse number 6. So they are chanted together, 6 and 7.
ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम्.
Translation. But those who worship me, God, Supreme Reality, renouncing all actions in me, regarding me as Supreme, meditating on me with single-pointed yoga, for those whose minds are set on me, I become ere long, O Partha or Arjuna, the deliverer from the ocean of death-bound samsara, mundane existence. It's a fascinating word. Mrityu samsara sagarat. I'm going to explain what it means. It's rather difficult to explain in English, but it's a very powerful word. Mrityu. Everybody is caught up in Mrityu samsara sagarat. So, topic 2 starts from verse number 6. 6 to 12 is the topic 2. It's called as progressive ways to reach God. Now, you need to understand the thought flow. Now, verse number 6 and 7 together, they give a general guideline to the spiritual path. See, most people, they do not know the science behind spiritual path. Whatever their mind feels like, they take to a particular spiritual practice. You can't do that. It's the most subtle science is your spiritual evolution. So he gives like broad guidelines that how to assess your personality. Once you assess your personality, which spiritual path to choose. So general guideline he is giving in verse number 6 and 7. So once you follow a spiritual path or a combination of spiritual paths as per your requirement, then you start purifying your desires. which leads to a stage of contemplation and meditation. I'm going to explain what it means, but this is the main point. So he gives general guidelines for seekers in verse number 6 and 7. And then verse number 8, you have the PowerPoint. Then in verse number 8, he gives the highest spiritual sadhana. Sadhana means practice, which is meditation. Yeah, you can see it on the screen. So if you can meditate. So he is addressing a highly advanced spiritual seeker. So he says you meditate. Why? You have gone through your sadhana. You have offloaded your desires. So you have reached that stage. So that is verse number 8. But then he understands that everybody cannot meditate. So in verse number in fact 9 and 10, he tones down the spiritual practices for seekers who cannot meditate. Are you getting the thought flow? 6 and 7, he gives what? The general guideline. This is the spiritual path. This is the science of spiritual evolution. Verse number 8 is addressed to seekers who can meditate. But then he understands everybody cannot meditate. So in verse number 9, he gives them Abhyasa Yoga. He says, okay, don't give up. Try. If you cannot meditate, try. But if you cannot, even after your best efforts, you cannot meditate, then he says you have to go back to the basics. That means something is still you're left with desires. You have to address these desires. Then you will qualify for meditation. So that is verse number 9. If you cannot do that, I mean, even to do that, bulk of your desire should be offloaded. He says, okay, don't worry. Oblate all your actions to the Lord. Don't function in the world to fulfill your desires. Oblate whatever you're doing to the Lord. And then you function. That is verse number 10. And he's so charitable. He says, if you can't even do that, somebody may say, no, sir, I have a lot of desires. He says, okay, go fulfill your desires in the world. But understand that it is means to an end. And why are you fulfilling your desires? Not to indulge, not to feed your desires, but to reach the goal of self-realization. And there is nothing beyond that. And you must congratulate yourself if you belong to verse number 11 level. It's a very high level. We are discussing Bhagavad Gita here. So we'll study it one by one. Now coming back to verse number 6 and 7, he is giving a broad guideline for reducing your desires. See, what is spiritual path all about to begin with? Why should I follow spiritual path? Well, we have been saying it, spiritual path. Somebody may say, and rightly so, I don't care. I don't want to be spiritual. I'm fine where I am, I have a good job, I have a good profession, everything is okay in my life. Why should I follow spiritual path? All religions are saying that, whether you read Bible, whether you read Bhagavad Gita, whether you read Quran, they're saying your only mission in life is to find out who you are. What's your identity? You belong to that supreme reality. So the question is, why should I follow a spiritual path? Do I have to follow a spiritual path to begin with? What is it? What does it mean when we say follow a spiritual path? What does it mean actually speaking? We keep on using these terms very loosely. What does it mean?
For permanent peace and no suffering.
Anyone else? I can get that. I go on a vacation, like 10, 15 days, I go on a cruise. Calm, cool person for the time being.
It should be permanent, all the time.
But permanently, I can take break, vacation, have a drink every day in the night. Permanently, I am happy.
To find out who you are.
Okay. All these are correct answers, of course. But what does it mean? Practical. How would you explain this to a 12-year-old boy or a girl? Give answers from that point of view.
The
Whatever
ultimate
you do,
realization is that.
Is it? Nobody understands what is that.
It's like you can maybe take them to Disneyland, leave them there. But if they can't find the happiness, it's like you can leave them there for the whole year, but they don't know what to do, how to enjoy. Like, I don't know how to explain, but
No,
it
good,
should
good,
come
but
from
fine.
within, and it has to be more than those 10 days. And
Hmm?
you should know how to enjoy the
It's
vacation or where you
it's
are.
to add to that, it's more like how fulfilled we are
Uh-huh.
wherever we are at whatever point of life we are. We can be a king one day, we can be a beggar one day, but if our mind is just staying the same,
Mm-hmm.
then that is like that is what eradication of suffering is, and that is
Mm-hmm.
what I think we all are going for.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a state of mind. The calm is permanent and it stays
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's consistent.
Yeah, all these are correct answers. Anyone else?
I was going to say, you mentioned a cruise. I actually did go on a 10-day cruise at one point, and after 5 days, all I wanted to do was get off that ship.
Okay.
So first 5 days I was blissed out, and then last 5 days I was miserable because I got bored with everything that was on the ship. So I think all of those things that we think are enjoyable and keep us calm, they only do that temporarily. They're like band-aids.
Mm-hmm. Good,
They're
good.
not permanent.
Thanks for telling me about a cruise.
I will never go on more than 4 day or 5 day cruise ever
Good.
in my life again.
Cancel my booking, please. I'm not going on a cruise. I mean, that's the reason I never went, no cruise. Yeah. See, all these are correct answers. Very good answer. See, the main purpose of our life is to purify and eliminate our desires. There is no other purpose. Now, why we are saying that? Because constantly, consciously or unconsciously, what we want in life is happiness. There is nothing else. Whether you know it or not, whether you understand it or not, every human being, whatever your action is for permanent happiness. And there is no way you can get any happiness by feeding your desires. In fact, more the desires, more the mental agitations. And that is number one. And those who have reached the state of permanent happiness, all the great masters, it could be Krishna, it could be Christ, it could be Lord Rama, it's a galaxy of saints and sages. By their own experience, they are telling us that they have reached that state of total fulfillment. So we go by their word. It's not one person is saying that. For various masters, they have said that. And by our own experience of trying to feed our desires, the more we try to feed our desires, more miserable we become eventually, if not initially. So, therefore, desire is a barrier between human being and God. So, human being, this is the equation, human being minus desires equals God or state of self realization. So, therefore, all the scriptures they are saying, you need to eliminate your desires eventually. But to begin with, you have to purify your desires. Elimination of desires is a very high state, it's a state of self realization. But to begin with, our desires are like horses. They are running amok, going all over the place. So that's the reason we are inviting mental agitations on us. It's not that you contact the world or there is something wrong with the world, therefore there are mental agitations, nothing. It has to do with your state of mind. More the desires, more the mental agitations. So therefore, to begin with, you need to reduce the quantity of your desires, then purify your desires. Then there is a stage of elimination, which is the state of self realization. So, that is spiritual paths all about. Number one. Second point is then how do you do it? It's not that you follow any spiritual practice. Most people they don't know, so they pick up any spiritual practice. So traditionally, there are three spiritual practices because there are three types of desires. We have body, mind, intellect, three equipment. There is no fourth equipment, right? So desires are at the level of body, which is action. Desires are at the level of the mind, and desires are at the level of the intellect. So therefore, they have prescribed three spiritual paths, three spiritual practices. So if you are predominantly active, you have to follow path of action, which is called as karma yoga. If you are predominantly emotional person, you need path of devotion. If you are predominantly intellectual, everything you want, logic, reason, explain why, you have to follow path of the knowledge. But nobody is entirely active, nobody is entirely emotional, nobody is entirely intellectual. Everybody is a combination of all three. Permutation and combination differs from person to person. What applies to A doesn't apply to B, doesn't apply to C. So, therefore, to begin with, before you start your spiritual journey, you need to understand your personality. Nobody does that because there is no guidance. This is where Bhagavad Gita scores, scriptures, they score. So you need to understand your personality. Am I very active type? Do I have a lot of desires? Yes. I mean, what's wrong in understanding and accepting that? So I have to go and function in the world. Whatever is your talent, you could be in business, you could be in politics, you could be in sports. So that field, that area of your talent is your karma yoga, is path of action. So you function in a spirit of service and sacrifice. Doesn't matter what you do. You may be the president of the nation. You may be a CEO of a country, of a company. You function in a spirit of service and sacrifice. But also you will need devotion. Also you will need knowledge. Another person could be predominantly devotional, but that person also has to act. That person also needs knowledge. Somebody could be predominantly intellectual, but still you need devotion, still you need action. So before you launch onto your spiritual journey, you need to understand, you need to assess your personality. Nobody does that. And once you do that, then your life revolves around these three practices. That is your life. It's not that you do something different. Spiritual path and worldly path, they are not two different things. Whatever you do, if you do it with this understanding, which I explained just now, then it becomes a spiritual life. So when you follow these three paths, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, is called as three integrated spiritual practices. I mean, those who have been attending, they know this. But those who are new, memorize it. Those who know it, memorize it 100 times. Very easy to forget this. So once you understand your personality, to what extent you are active, to what extent you are devotional, to what extent you are intellectual, bulk of the desires are eliminated. Then you reach a state called as uparati. It means withdrawal. You start functioning in a spirit of renunciation. It's not renunciation of anything. It is renunciation in action, that attitude, as opposed to being entangled, attached, and obsessed with everything. So you remain internally calm and externally dynamic. That's what it means. It's a state of withdrawal, as opposed to everything you get involved, attached, obsessed. And as you continue your spiritual journey, you reach a state of dharana. It means concentration or contemplation, one and the same thing. And the last stage, when only handful of desires are left, you become meditative. It's called as dhyana. So Sanskrit word for meditation is dhyan. Dhyana means meditation. So only desire left at that stage is what? Just the goal of self-realization. I want to merge with the supreme reality. Now, why have you reached that state? Because you have already offloaded the bulk of your desires. So your entire spiritual journey is based on cause and effect. This is what you need to understand. Meditation is the effect of what? It is a state. It's not a practice. Nobody can meditate. You may try. You can't meditate. You become meditative. When do you become meditative? When practically all the desires are gone. When do you reach that state? When you're already at the level of contemplation or concentration, right? So how did you reach that? Again, you have worked on your desires. Now, how did you become contemplative? Because you have that attitude of renunciation. Therefore, you can follow spiritual path. Otherwise, you're caught up in the world. When will your spiritual journey start? So, how did you reach that state of renunciation in action, that attitude? By your consistent application of karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. In fact, most people, they are on the left side of the chart. You can see that, right? Such a person is called as bhogi, as opposed to yogi. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, yogi, yogi, yogi meaning you understood your mission, a spiritual person. Bhogi is he's a human animal. That's all, To look at, he is human, like clean shaven, like, suited, booted, shiny car, posh house, and everything like plus plus. But inside, he is like just like an animal. He lives only to fulfill his desires. But that does not mean such a person is disqualified. He may overtake all of us, and we may remain at the beginning of the spiritual path. See, that's the magic of human being. We don't understand our capacity. The moment this knowledge hits you, the moment the penny drops. I mean, I'm in this field for last 32 years. I've seen how some people, their life has been totally transformed. Youngsters, age of 16, 17, 18, some of you must have witnessed that. So never underestimate any bhogi, just to understand, just to educate. But most people are at the level of bhogi, meaning they are extroverted. And usually such people, they straight away try to get into deeper study, contemplation, and meditation. So therefore, you need to understand how you progress on the spiritual path with the help of this chart. And then he further explains, those who worship me, meaning supreme reality, renouncing all actions in me, regarding me as supreme, meaning you don't do anything for yourself, meaning just to feed your desires. You do it for the cause of self-realization. You understand that at this moment, I have desires and I have to eliminate my desires. So whatever you do, you could be in the family, you could be in a workplace, you may go on a vacation, nothing wrong with that. It's not that you don't do anything if you feel you want to do. But you're not doing it just to indulge in the desires. You understand that my ultimate mission in life is to get to the self. So that is at the back of your mind. And slowly but surely, that mission will become more and more pronounced as you start working on your desires. So it doesn't matter what you do in life. What matters is where are your thoughts. This is what he's saying. Those who worship me, renouncing all actions in me, that doesn't mean you give up everything and just start saying Krishna, Krishna, or start studying. It doesn't mean that. Where are your thoughts? You could be in the spiritual path and your thoughts could be absolutely worldly. You could be in the so-called worldly path, but your thoughts could be absolutely spiritual. So where are your thoughts? That is spiritual path all about. There is no such thing called this is spiritual path, this is worldly path. This is what people misunderstand. So what makes anything spiritual is the placement of your thoughts. So what is the placement of your thoughts? What's my mission in life? And opposed to this is the ignorant person. The whole life he works for what? The average person, the ignorant person, the whole life he works for what? Me, my family, acquire, enjoy. Family meaning me. You take away that minus from the family, there is no family left. So you're working for yourself. It's beautifully camouflaged. I care for my wife. It's not a you don't care. Let that wife start torturing you day in and day out. What happens to the wife? Same wife you will take her to the court. Same husband you will take her to him to the court, isn't it? So the average person, whole life, just me, my family, acquisition, enjoyment. So it's a routine, mundane, mechanical life. And it's not easy to come out. That's the word he uses. Mrityu samsara sagarat. Sagar means ocean. Mrityu samsara means death bound. So everything has got beginning, everything has got end. You go on a vacation, you feel nice. The lady has been frank enough. 5 days she experienced this verse. Mrityu samsara sagarat. Happiness lasted for 5 days. For some people, it may last for 5 years, doesn't matter. So, best of the experiences, they have beginning and end. And what are we chasing? Experiences, anything in the world, objects and beings, tangible, intangible. It has a beginning, it has an end. And entire life we are chasing these fleeting experiences. That's the word he uses. Mrityu samsara sagarat. Death bound terrestrial entanglements, experiences. Everything has beginning, everything has an end. You buy a brand new car, how long you enjoy the car? You move into a brand new house, how long you enjoy? After it becomes a headache. Who will mop the floor? Oh my God, still the mortgage is left and what not. Even the family, I mean, come on, we all know. Initially, it all was rosy, holding each other's hands and all that. After that, we want to go for the throat, but only you can't tell anybody. Don't tell if you want to do that. And he's saying it's not easy because you are so deep into it. Chasing these enjoyments is like being caught up in a quicksand. It's a scientific phenomena. The more you try to come out of the quicksand, the more you struggle, what happens?
Get deep inside.
You get. As you go deeper, anybody would want to come out. What happens? You struggle more. The more you struggle, what happens? Deeper you go. And ultimately, you are consumed by the quicksand. So exactly same thing is happening to everybody. So you are getting drowned in the desires created by you. There's nothing wrong with the family. There's nothing wrong with the world. There's nothing wrong with anything. It's a beautiful world to live in, provided you have this knowledge. But people, since they are chasing these objects and beings, the world, indiscriminately, you are completely caught up. You're completely entangled. And he's saying it's not easy to come out of these entanglements. Worry, anxiety, stress, and depression, and whatnot. The thought itself is scary. This is the life of an ordinary person. I remember, I think maybe 18, 20 years back, I think or it could be like 15, 16 years back. I remember like Shruti had just started hosting classes. How long you hosted classes? 10 years, I think, right? Yeah. Shruti and Yudhishthir. So I was, when did I come to America? I think 12, I think. 13, something like that. So that time. So immediately as soon as I was in the US, I'd gone to somebody's place. There was a lecture on symbolism of Hindu gods and rituals. The big audience, like 30, 40 people were there. And some of them were very receptive. Somebody had invited me. And after the talk was over, there was one elderly couple. They must be in their 70s or something, whatever. So they completely hijacked the entire discussion. I have no complaints about that because my throat needs rest, And there was amazing food. And 15, 17 years back, I was young, so appetite also was quite good. And once in a while, you get good food. So I was like happy, that they hijacked the show. But what they were telling people, that was like, it was a tragedy, and they were more takers for them rather than the message of Bhagavad Gita. So that elderly couple was amazing, very sweet couple, but in the context I am explaining. So they were telling young couple, they in the 70s, others are 30s, 40s, the kids are like 8, 9, 12, 13, 15, that age group. So that time they had two daughters. One daughter was 34, another daughter was whatever, 30, 32. They're saying like at each stage of her life, she was a different person. When she was 1 year old, they had an amazing time. But when she became 2, they lost that person who was 1 year old. It was a different kind of experience. And they said they missed it. When she was 2, she was very cute, They really enjoyed that experience. But when she became 3, she was a different person. So they missed the daughter who was 2. And now you can do the math now. She was 32. So they were telling young couple, make sure that you never miss a moment of your enjoyment with your kids. Otherwise you will never get it back. I'm not saying it is right or wrong. I'm trying to explain to you the word mrityu samsara sagarat, death-bound enjoyment. Now, how can such people take to the spiritual path? Are you with me? Impossible. I'm giving you one example. You can add hundreds and hundreds of desires. So the whole thing is so entangled inside. It's not easy to come out of it. That's what he's saying. If you want to, you can come out of it, but 99.9% they cannot come out. So it's like ladies, they, what do you call that? Knitting, right? So when you knit, you need a yarn. So there's a ball of a yarn, and sometimes it gets entangled. If you're not careful, you let it loose and, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 knots. And once it gets entangled, is difficult. Husband, you call him, you say, just cut it. What's the problem? Lady will say, no, please. No, you need patience for that. Now, that ball of yarn is knitted, tangled ball of yarn is you and me. It's a question of more or less. Knots after knots, entanglement after entanglement at a desire level. Right? So how can you untangle it? It's not possible. First of all, you have to, is possible, provided there is awareness. There is awareness that I am caught up. I want to come out of this desire-ridden life. Why do I want to live this kind of a life? But most people, they lack that awareness. So therefore, they continue to live life of ignorance. But once you become aware of your state, present state, then you understand what has to be done. Then you go to a right person, you go study the scriptures, you start working on yourself, you're consistent in spiritual practices, then you can untangle your personality of desires. But most people, problem is they are not aware. So therefore, you cannot educate anybody. I know some of you are very well-meaning, retreat, you have to come, public lecture, you have to come. It falls on absolutely deaf ears. Radha knows what I am saying. Shruti knows what I am saying. Raji knows what I am saying. Well-meaning. And it's not that they are not, they respect you, but it's not possible. There's so much of entanglement internally, desire after desire. How did you get into that? Mrityu, samsara, sagara. And one desire, there is not. That itself is not easy to, which is your spouse. Again, nothing wrong with the spouse. Tremendous attachment. Then come like 2 knots or 1 knot or 3 knot. It depends on what you produce, right? 3, 4 knots there. From that, another 10 knots sprout, your grandchildren, your house, your money, your enjoyment, your indulgence in the senses, not to talk about emotional hot mess inside. So all that put together is what? So, Mrityu samsara sagarat. What samsara? I mean, voice is gone and is giving wrong answer. So you can't really translate this verse into English. Therefore, I'm trying my level best. Mrityu samsara sagarata. How do you explain that in English? Or another entanglement is everything is perfect in my life. You know, what perfect? It could be perfect. I'm not saying you're lying. Good health, good money, good position is a one big knot. It's like not knot. You can say that ball of yarn is you, which is happy, lying in the corner. It's like a dreamer is saying, I'm happy. In a dream state, you are a waker. You belong to the waking state. So what is that entanglement? It's not necessary it has to express in the negative way. If it expresses in a negative way, it is easy to catch. But if it expresses in a positive way, you cannot catch it. I'm content, I'm happy in life. And you are not lying. Genuinely, you are saying that. Happy with what? For the time being, your egocentric desires are fulfilled. One or two desires go here and there, you will come crashing down. That's not easy to catch. Another word for that is complacency, right? If you are complacent, your spiritual journey cannot start. You have to feel miserable, don't take it literally, constricted, restricted. Then only your spiritual journey starts. And that has to happen when everything is plus in your life. That is true spiritual call. When you are miserable, it's temporary. It will not last. Buddha walked out of kingdom. One or two houses we are talking about, he had the whole kingdom mentally walking out. You don't walk out actually speaking. So this knowledge makes you aware of your state. And once you become aware of your state, then you will put efforts. Otherwise, why will you put efforts? Isn't it? And how do you become aware of your state? Your daily association with this knowledge. It's not a rocket science. To understand, apply definitely. So your daily steady reflection is the key, nothing else. So that's it for today. And we'll start with verse number 8 next week, which is where he talks about meditation. Then we'll do verse number 9, 10, and 11. So any quick question based on what we discussed today? I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes. I know it's a long weekend, Good Friday, so I don't want to hold you.
Guruji, this is Monica here. I just have a very quick question.
Yeah,
When
where are
you
you,
talk
Monica?
about,
Can
I'm
you
in Cincinnati.
Yeah, on the screen I want to see you. Where is
Okay.
Monica KB?
Yeah, my video is not working.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah, so my
tell me.
quick question is, I won't take too long. We talk about the desire. So we need to leave our desires to be on the spiritual path.
No,
My
no. Where did you get this idea? You have to you cannot live life without desires. Where did you get that?
Right. No, but if we have to start a spiritual journey, we need to get out of the entanglements. And of course, desires are also part of it, right? So, are you saying that if we have to lead a spiritual path, like, can we do that by having all the desires in
You have
life?
to change. I got your question. You
Uh-huh.
have to
Yeah.
change the quality of your desires from
Okay.
selfish to unselfish. That is the beginning
I
of your
see.
spiritual journey. Period.
Okay.
There is nothing else to that. Whatever you're doing, family, you're relating to them selfishly, very spirituality. But the moment you start functioning in the spirit of service and sacrifice, husband says, what is my duty towards my wife? Wife says, what is my duty towards my husband? In your own profession, what is my duty towards my organization? What is my duty towards the nation? That is spirituality. So your spiritual journey begins when you change the quality of your desires from selfish to unselfish. As simple as that. You don't do anything different.
Okay.
You okay, Monica?
Yes, I'll think it over. Yes. For now, I'm okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please. Please.
So, isn't the desire to become spiritual or get spiritual enlightenment, isn't that also selfish?
No. If what is spirituality? I want to become a better human being. I want to become unselfish to begin with. So how can it be a selfish desire to becoming unselfish? There's contradiction in terms.
When you're doing,
unselfish.
okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
When you're only doing something for yourself, you're saying, I just want to become more spiritual.
What is that? That's what I'm defining. It's just a word. Becoming spiritual means becoming unselfish, so that you can start functioning in a spirit of service and sacrifice in whatever you do. How can that be selfish?
I will need to think about this. Thank you. Yeah.
Miji, how do I understand my personality?
You're in what, third cycle of e-learning or a second cycle of e-learning, right?
Yeah, check it.
So you're on the right path. That's the only way. Knowledge, through this knowledge, that's what I mean.
Okay.
See, therefore, good people are asking good questions. Are you selfish or are you unselfish? To what extent you are selfish? To what extent you are unselfish? By that comparison, I know where I am, whether I'm going in the right direction or wrong direction. So it's knowledge. So this knowledge will educate you on the higher values of life and living, and then you can understand where you are. So they become like guiding principle for you.
Thank you.
All right. So are we okay? Group is okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So I will see you next Saturday, and there is a question and answer session on Wednesday, April 8th. Yeah. So you will get an email, and if you, whatever questions you're asking me, if you have more questions, feel free to email those questions. I think last week we projected that, right? Questions at vedantamidwest.org, or same email, study class also, you can send your questions. So I'll answer your questions on April 8th, Wednesday, 7 to 8. So have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harmit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Amit.